Hello, folks. How's it going? Long time no see. I mean, for me, for sure. Let's wait for a couple of minutes, let people join. I like this music. Okay. Let me just quickly set up. And welcome. Yep. It's just me taking things here. Okay, we have folks joined in. Hello, hi. Perfect. We have the audience here, which is nice. Meanwhile, let me just do one quick thing. Let me share the check-in link. So, if you have not checked in, please do so. That's all I would say. There we go. Check-in link is in the chat. Please do check in if you have not checked in yet. Okay, and without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so what are we building? Okay, so first of all, let me start with a very good welcome here. Don't need the music right now. Maybe let's run it in the background. Just yeah, I think that's good enough. Not audible, but I know it's running. Okay, so as I was saying, first of all, welcome everyone. I hope you're going to enjoy this session. What are we building? Let's quickly dive into that. So we are going to build a Python app, and this stream is going to be divided into 3 parts. This is part 1. I have part 2 today, and I mean by today I mean on Saturday, and I have part 3 tomorrow on Sunday. What will the Python app be about? So we are going to build a GitHub good first issue tracker. Okay, so what it means is when we go on GitHub and there are so many issues there, people raise different issues, and for beginners, if they want to keep a track of all the good first issues, all the issues that have label of good first issue, uh, we are just basically going to download or scrape or get all those results from an API of GitHub. Once we get all those results, we will do some modification in the response. And once that modification is done, we'll first save it to file on our local machine, and then we'll write code later on to save it on cloud in MongoDB database. And once that is done, then we'll also use Streamlit, which will kind of help us convert our Python code from very scripty to more of a web app. So we will make a web app out of it, which we can later, let's say, check on where to deploy, how to deploy. And once that deployment is done, anyone and everyone can see all the good first issues, and they can just filter it out, go and check those issues, and also, of course, they can contribute to those issues. Now, folks who have joined me for the first time, let me tell you, I always encourage you to stay back to help others who don't know things. Maybe this project would be too basic for you. Maybe it would be like, oh, I know all these concepts. But if possible, please do stay back so that you can help fellow hackers. and people who have joined me previously. First of all, I am so sorry. I was just kind of out from this phase of MLH for quite some time because so many things happening, which is why in my last project where I was building an invoice generator, I was supposed to put it on GitHub, but just never got the time. And then, yeah, no time, procrastination, nothing, which is why I also did not end up doing stream for the last GHW. But this time, I am sure I'm going to share the replit from the beginning, and also whatever is done today, I'm going to upload it on GitHub for you to see it later. So, yeah, all in all, I'm back finally. Yep. So, apologies if you were expecting the invoice generator app on GitHub, but you did not find it. Uh, Sincere apologies for that. And well, yeah, that is it. So now, uh, step one: how do we get started with this? I am going to share the link to Replit. If you don't have an account on Replit, then you will know that I am a big fan. Okay, and when I say big fan, I mean like seriously a very big fan. So if you want to code along, you want to follow along, you don't want to set up a Python environment on your local machine, you don't want to set up Anaconda or Python virtual environment or anything, uh, you just want to quickly dive in, get started, then I would say please create an account on Replit. It is super easy, and I would say it's like a one click thing. So once you create an account on Replit, that would just make it easy for me as well to share my Replit code with you all, and you can kind of see it while we are doing it. And if you're stuck at any place, any point, you can see the code that I have written. So yeah, please create an account on Replit, and once you are done, would love to hear someone say, okay, I'm done, and then we can just move along. So let me give you like a 15 second, 20 second. It is again super easy. All you have to do is just go there and sign in with GitHub, sign in with Google, anything would do. And that should be it actually. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the responses here. So also let me move myself out of screen so that you can actually kind of focus only on the code right now. Okay, so once you have joined Replit, then go on to templates and search templates. So I'm going to search for, well, very obvious. We are making a Python app, so we are going to search for a Python template and use the first one, the one which is like Python with this. I don't know, is this verified? Is it a verification check mark or whatever? But yeah, take that one. It has like 41.1 million uh, clones of folks and 3.9k love slash heart or whatever. But basically use the first template. That's the whole idea. And click on use template. Now we are going to give it a nice name. I know it is going to be GHW GitHub good, not goof. I am not going to goof this up. Good first issue. Okay, so this is what we are going to build. GitHub good first issue tracker. So let me also give that in description. GitHub good first issue tracker with Streamlit and MongoDB. And I think, yep, let's click on get started. So once that boots up, let it, yeah, let it basically run. And I am going to check one quick thing. That is, can I run this? Can I share this with you all? I don't think so. I can't share it with you right now because it's private. Publish. Next, 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 and it's not a template, it's publish, and that's it. I think that should be it. Let me again test this. Okay, I think this should be it. There won't be anything on it right now because, well, I have not added any code or anything. So it would look blank, but just make sure that you keep a track of this replit so you can follow along if you're stuck anywhere. So there is a question. What's the session plan? We are building a GitHub good first issue tracker using Python. Okay. And yep, shared the links. Now, for folks who are still confused, like what is good first issue? What does he keep talking about? This whole good first issue thing. So if you go on to, let's say, your GitHub, okay, you go on to github.com and you go to explore, and in the explore section you go to, let's say, not trending, let's say go to topics. Sometimes you can find it here on the popular topics, but if you don't find it there, just search for good first issue. And here on the left hand side, if you expand this on the left hand side, you go on to topics. See, these are the things. There's a good first issue, there's good first issues, there's first good issue, and there are PRs welcome good first issue. So these are kind of 4 tags, or you can also call it, as GitHub calls it, labels, that we are going to keep a track of. So when it is there outside, it is what you call it is a topic. But when we go in the issues, okay, so I'm going to open this issue and we go over to this particular label for these issues, and you search for good first issue. Look, these are all the issues that are good for beginners. So if you are interested in contributing to the terminal project of Microsoft, and you are very new to this whole ecosystem, you have never worked with what Microsoft is working on, let's say terminals or bash programming or something like that, check out the good first issues. This is basically supposed to be comparatively easy to work on, and that is why we are going to focus on this, all these good first issue. So I'm going to only work with the label, which is good dash first dash issue, but you can also work with the other topics. You remember the other topics that we saw? There's good first issues, there's first good issue, and there's this. So there are only, I think, 6 projects which have this particular label. Yeah, only 6 public repositories. And PRs welcome good first issue, there are only 2 repositories which have that particular label. So I'm going to go with the most popular one, of course, right now. But you can modify the code to also scrape, not exactly scrape. We are getting it from GitHub API. So, but basically get it from GitHub API for these other topics / labels. Okay, so let's move on to the code part. Okay, before I go ahead, yeah, I should ask, any questions anyone till now about anything? Okay, I think we are good to go. No questions as such. So, okay, let's move on. So number 1, what are we going to do? So what are we using? We are going to write some normal Python code. We'll use a few libraries like, let's say, Streamlit later on, PyMongo for MongoDB, some basic ones like requests for getting data. We'll also do some logging. So I'm going to show you how you can do some logging on your project. Does that answer your question? Okay, perfect. Let's move on. So let's import a few things. Now I know this project is going to need JSON, okay, because we are going to download some data which would be JSON format. It is going to need requests. It is going to need time library. It is also going to need logging library, because I'm going to show you how we can do some basic logging. And we are also going to add some secrets. Now GitHub allows us to get data from its API without having to kind of log in to the system or create a token or something. But the problem is with that it rate limits you. So if you go to GitHub and you try to get data from its API, you can only do so, I think, like 60 times in an hour. So basically you can hit its API once per minute. Okay, that's it. If you want to kind of hit that API more than once per minute, then you need to create your personal token, okay, your personal access token in a way, which is basically to say that, hey, I am an authorized GitHub user, I have a GitHub account, and I want to get data from your API. We are not going to start with that, but we are going to kind of get that token and add that token later. Okay, so but we are not going to start with it. Okay, so what's the next thing? Let's start with some very basic things, which is logging actually. Okay, now logging is very interesting. There are so many projects that don't talk about how you can log or how you can do time tracking. Okay, that's the idea. How can I do some time tracking, like how much time did this thing take to run, how much time has my code been running, how much time did it take to run the whole thing? Like they are like, let's say I create 10 different functions, how much time did it take to run everything? So I want to do some logging, and there are multiple ways to do logging in Python. You can uh, you know have different libraries and all. You can configure it in some different manners. I'm going to do it the most basic way possible. I'm going to just do some time tracking. So I will say, this is command configure logging. Okay, the whole idea again is to keep a track of how much time is it taking to run this whole thing. So logging is the library that we are using, and it has multiple things, but we are going with the one that is here, basic config. And as you hover over it, or as you select it, kind of get Replit gives you description of what it is. So basic config has these options built in. We are only going to work with this level 1, but you can do so many other things, so you can read more about it. But we are going to select that basic config and we are going to set the level. So what are the options for level? So there was a critical, there's a debug, there is error, there's fatal. So there are multiple, but we are going to go with, again, something like info. So give me information. Okay, that is the idea. The other ones, as I think the name is kind of understandable, but let's go over it. There is Critical, anything that is kind of critical. Let's say we can associate it with colors. Critical can be our, let's say, dark yellow. Okay, it is critical. Or could be, let's say, red. Yeah, okay, let's go with critical as dark red. Debug is, let's say, plain white. We want to see something. If there's an error, it is red. It's fatal, system is broken, let's say, it's going to be purple. uh, the basic one, which is info, it's basically all the information, could be, let's say, blue. So I think that kind of gives an idea of different types of logging and what you could do with them. Info, basic one, gives me information, and I'm going to put this in a variable which will say that, hey, logging dot get logger. So returns a logger with a specified name, creating it if necessary. If no name is specified, return the root logger. So I am going to create this logger because I am going to tell it that, hey, create a new logger, and then we are going to use this in a function which will take some start time, and it would take the name of what it is logging. So once it goes into action, you will get a better idea of, hey, what is this doing? But for now, I would go with, just trust me on this. But this is one way to, like, this is how we imported or added logging and added some basic config. Now I'm going to define a function. Let's call it time track. It takes the start time and it takes a name of what it is going to track. And we will have a variable called, let's say, elapsed. Okay, which is going to use the time library and then call the time function in that library and minus the start time. And once that is done, we are going to just do a log, which is our this particular variable dot info, and we are going to use some f strings to print it on the screen. We are going to say, like, whatever name took whatever time, and just let's do some new line so that we can easily see this whole thing. Now what is this function doing? So the function name, it basically says that this is a time tracking function. It is going to take some start time, then it is going to calculate the elapsed time, which is like what is the current time minus the start time, which will give me how how many seconds have passed since I started running this function. And once the function successfully completes in a way, then it is going to log that info to the console. Okay, so this is our some basic time tracking. The reason why I'm doing this is, if you remember, GitHub is going to block us if you don't use the GitHub client. So for now, I am going to yeah, just time how many seconds is it taking to run this function. Okay, move on. The next is, let's define the function to get issues from GitHub. Okay, now should it take any parameter? Let's see. I want to get issues from GitHub. What is the API to get that issues? Okay, I did not show you all that thing. So let me see. Okay, perfect. So this is the API endpoint that we are going to hit. Very simple. It gets us all the issues. The total count is 5170 issues. Okay. Those many issues exist where it is a issue. Can I put this somewhere in Notepad. Okay, yeah, much more visible. So, okay, let's break this whole thing down. Oops. So this is api.github.com. It is the endpoint for GitHub API. Then we are going into the search function of GitHub, and we are calling all the issues, like search for all the issues. The query parameter is like step one. First, it should be an issue. So is it an issue? It should not be a comment. It should not be a PR or anything. Is it an issue? Then plus, does it have the label of good first issue? Okay. And plus, the state should be open. So there's no need to get the issues which are in closed state, right? What will we do with an issue which has been closed, a good first issue that has been closed? We are not going to be able to we are not going to be able to contribute to that issue. So we need the issues that whose state is open. Now this is the API that we are going to hit, and it says that the total results is 5170. There's no incomplete result. So let's say you are hitting this endpoint, but there are so many, there are like a million issues, and GitHub will basically go like, hey, we can't process your API request because you are basically asking us to get a million results. Okay, it is taking too much of compute time on the back end. So we are going to just return you what we have found till now. So out of million, let's say it only found it processed and it only returned 10,000 issues. Then it will give this incomplete results to be true. Okay, it will say, hey, we could not get all the data, so we are only sending you partial data, which is why the incomplete results is going to be true here. Then inside the items array is everything about the issue. Now if you see this, there are so many things in this which we actually don't need. We definitely don't need the avatar URL of the person who has created this issue. So, and maybe a issue will have multiple labels. So let's say this is the issue. Let's go through it. So this is one of the issues. This is endpoint of the api.github.com, but we actually need access to its proper URL. So there is so pre-commit / pre-commit. I'm assuming this is the name of the owner, and this is the name of the repository, and this is the issue number 3089. So let's copy this, open it in a new tab. So yep, as you can see on the top left, pre-commit is the name of the project or the owner. There is the repository called pre-commit, and this is the issue. It has two labels. It has labels of feature and it has label of good first issue. Does our API return us the same? Yes, it does. Our API says it has two labels. The first label is feature. Second label is good first issue. If we directly go to this particular endpoint, we know that we are going to get the good first issue, right? So we don't really need the previous label. So this is data which we don't need. This user data not required by us. Even from this, I am sure we can kind of remove a few things. Okay, remove a few parameters from here. And what else? State open, logged false. We can use these things. Assignee null, assignees empty array. So has this issue been assigned to anyone yet? Uh, right now, no one. So that maybe we could capture it. Maybe we don't need to. Like people can just click on the issue, go and check. Milestone null, comments 5, don't need this. When was it created? When was it updated? Don't need that. Closed at, no, not needed. This, I don't think we need any of this. Like there is a reactions, you can say, object or a dictionary where, oh, these are all the reactions. How many people did a +1 on it? How many did -1? Like basically upvoted, downvoted. How many did a laugh or hooray or confused? So don't need all those that data. Timeline URL, don't need that. Performed via GitHub app, null, don't need. So there's so many things that we don't need from this data. We are only going to get a few of these fields. We are also going to rename a few of these fields. Like we need this because this actually points directly to the issue on hand. The problem is it's called HTML URL, but for us it is going to be issue URL. So those are things that we are going to do. We are going to change a few naming conventions here and there, just so that it's easy for us to understand, and we'll create our own set of JSON or JSON. Okay. So that's the API, and that's the way I am going to look at, like that's how you can look at the response, and we can then decide what we need, what we don't need. Any questions till now? Let me, check the chat. Hey, hello there, 404. Yeah, nice day for fishing. It was raining yesterday. Kapurayan, hey, do you follow? Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving on, let's go back to our code. So now we are going to get the issues from GitHub. Okay, so let's write some code to get those issues. And I'll also show you logging in real time, kind of. So step one, like before we start doing anything, let's create our start time, which is going to be time.time. So time.time is one way to get your current time. Okay, so this is where we start. So just as your function starts, that's when you start logging, and then you do multiple things inside that function. At the end of it, you do, okay, everything has been finished in this function. Let's log how much time did it take. Okay, so what's the next thing? The next thing is going to be the URL of the GitHub API. So I'm going to use f strings again, and have I shared the link in the chat? I don't think so. That's what I'm going to do. So this is the GitHub API. Do not, okay, let me be very clear there. Do not refresh this endpoint again and again and again, because it is going to log you out. It will rate limit you, not log you out, sorry, rate limit you, and then you won't be able to follow along, and like you won't be able to see the results or responses. Open it once, keep it there. Do not refresh this. I cannot stress on it enough. Okay, let me also put that on chat. Do not refresh GitHub API again and again. I'm using all caps so that it's loud and clear, but please, once again, do not refresh GitHub API again and again. It will rate limit you. So please do not do that. Okay, let's move on. So the next part is going to be the URL. So now that I have pasted that there, let me try and paste it here. So api.github.com/search is issue plus label is good first issue and state is open. Right now I am making it very static, but we will also try and make it, let's say, dynamic. Let's say some of you don't want only good first issue, you want good first issues as well, you want something or the other, you also want to see, let's say, uh, okay, yeah, /s. uh, I did write do not, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, so that was sarcasm. Nice. Maybe let's say some of you want to check all the issues whose state is, let's say, closed, because you want to see what people have done in the past. Okay, so you could do multiple things. I'm making it static right now, but as and when we develop more and more, we'll realize where we need the whole dynamic uh dynamic city. No, I don't think that's a word, but yeah, we'll make it more dynamic as and when we go along. uh what else? Well, we can actually now create a response variable which will use requests library, and we'll do a get request on it. Okay, now on the get request we can pass multiple things, but right now I'm going to pass this URL, request.get URL. Once we have the response, okay, we'll have the response, but I'm going to, let's say, just print response dot status code. So if you have worked with HTTP status codes, you know, like if we get, let's say, 200, it means it was successful. If we get 404, it's not found. If we get 401, that you're unauthorized. So yeah, I'm going to basically print the status code. I can make it actually more better. Can make it better, yeah. I'm going to use, let's say, f strings. Oops, these. I'm going to say received this response dot this particular status code for URL. Like, what's the URL it is hitting? Now we know this is static right now, so we exactly know what URL it is hitting. But as we make it dynamic, it is very easy to lose track. So I am also going to just print the URL of the endpoint that it is going to. And we're also going to say response oh, we don't need to actually. We can just say results equals to whatever response that you received. We know it is in JSON format because, well, we saw it on our kind of UI here on our Chrome web page that, hey, this whole thing is a JSON format. So I'm going to just basically say take the results and take the response JSON, store it in results, and that should be it. Now I'm going to stop tracking. So time track, the function that we had created, it takes the start time and it takes the name. Our start time was defined here, so I'm going to give it that start time. And what's the name? So what is this function about? So this is about getting data from GitHub API. So that's what I'm going to track, and I am going to then just return results. Okay, what's the problem with this one? F string without any placeholders. I know. Okay, relax. Yep. And now, can we write some code to quickly run this? I am sure we can. So let's create our kind of main function. So our main function, inside our main function, I'm also going to keep a track of the main function. So I'm going to again define a start time, which is the current time when this function started running. And I'll create a variable issues from GitHub equals to get issues from GitHub. Okay, so simple. And then what can we do? Now I know when we receive the issues from GitHub, there is a total count, there is incomplete results, there's a items key, or you can say a key is so there's a key called as items, which is an array of multiple JSONs inside it. If you're coming from JavaScript world, there is an array with multiple uh, objects inside it. If you're coming from Python world and you understand Python better, then there is an array with multiple dictionaries inside it. So I need the length of this particular dictionary. So sorry, this particular array, so items array. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say print, and let's say again an f string, and what else, length of result. And now as you can see, I'm using single inverted commas here because I have double inverted commas on the outside. So just so that it does not clash, I'm going to use single inverted here. So length of result item equals to, and it should be basically issues from GitHub, which I think would be JSON. And from that, I need the items. And what happened to this one? String nested within an f string cannot use. Okay, yeah. Single inverted, sorry. Single inverted. And I need the length of this. So I think you can do len of this thing. Okay, I feel like this will work. But let's see. If it breaks, then we know we have to debug it. And let's call our time track function. And we will tell it that, hey, the start time is basically the start time. And this is our total execution time. Perfect. And what else? Oh, there's standard line. If name equals to main, this is one way to invoke your main function. And I think that should be it. Now I also maybe when we make it more dynamic, we should also add some sleep time in between so that it does not send a request every second, every millisecond. It should take a break between two requests. But this is when we make it dynamic, so don't need to work on it right now. We are not using JSON as such for now, but let it be there. Now we have not installed the libraries, and this is another thing that I like about Replit. When we hit run, it is going to scan our code, and if these libraries are not installed, it will install it. Okay, Replit will install it. So let's hit that run. But others, if you are working on it locally, you have to install requests, you have to install, I don't know, logging. I think it comes built in, but you can install logging as well. So you need to install requests and logging. These are two libraries. So received 200 for URL this, GitHub API took 1.023 this. Length of result item equals to 30. Total execution time took 1.04. So would anyone want to guess what is the... Is this in seconds? Is it in milliseconds? I think this is in seconds. So it took like 1.02 seconds to run this, and it took 1.04 seconds to kind of run the whole thing. Okay, so 1 second and 4, let's say, milliseconds. So yeah, we received the data, but we have not logged this data anywhere. Like, we should actually insert it into a file or something. The other interesting thing is length of result item equals to 30. It is basically saying that the inside this array, there are only 30 objects, or there are only 30 JSON things, or there are only 30 dictionaries. I mean, whatever you call it. The idea is there are only 30 results inside this, but we know that the total count is 5170. So what happened there? That's the question. I'm going to go over it later, but right now let's push this into a file, and yeah, let's store our data in a file first. So let's write quickly a small function. Let's call it insert into file. What will this function take? Well, it is going to insert the data into just a file. So it needs two things. It needs the file name, where should it insert that data, and it needs the results. Okay, like what to insert in that data. Again, we can track this. So I'm going to say too much for an API. Okay, so there is a message, too much for an API response from GitHub. Yes, in a way, yeah, GitHub, again, remember the whole rate limiting conversation that we have? Similarly, GitHub will also return minimum results. So we need to ask GitHub for more results. How can we do it? I'll show it to you later. I mean, later being like, we have 3 sessions. We will cover it definitely. But yes, that is a very good observation, that yes, GitHub rate limits us there as well. So let's say time.time, this is where we start, and now like with open the particular file name, and we need to open it in a write format. So there are multiple things here. There is a write, there is a read format, so you can't make changes to the file, you can only read the file. There is the A, which is append, you can append data. When we say write, it will basically delete everything that exists inside the file and rewrite on it. But when you change this to append, if you run this function twice or thrice, it will append the data 3 times. I'm opening it in a write format, and you can say this is our F, let's say. Yeah. So open the file name in write format, and we are giving it a temporary variable called as F. And now we are going to use the JSON library that we have imported. So JSON dot, there are multiple things. We are going to use the dumps. Okay, serialized object to a JSON formatted string. So JSON dot dump, it will take our results that we are giving the function, and it will ask, where do you want to write this? I'm going to say write it in the file. Okay, and once this is done, then we just need to measure how much time did it take to do this operation. So it took, let's say, start time, and now I am going to say that insert into file name. So because once we move on, as there was an interesting observation from Shubham, is it? Yes, Shubham, that GitHub is rate limiting us there, so we need to basically call for more data. We'll create multiple files with data, which is why I'm going to keep it dynamic. Like whatever is the file name, we're going to insert into that. We are inserting into that file. Okay, let's come back to our main function. Now in the main function, yeah, sorry, wrong choice of words. Rate limit, yes, it means how many times you are hitting the API. But okay, so when it is returning us less results, we need to get more results. So yeah, how can we make GitHub return more results, not just 30? So yeah, sorry about that, wrong choice of words. Okay, another question, can we use this in JavaScript? What packages should we install? Yes, you can use it in JavaScript. I would say more like use it on Node.js side. Okay, so Express.js side, you should basically create a kind of a backend project. So you would need Express, let's say. You can use fetch, but I would say instead of request, you can use either fetch or you can use Axios. Okay, so that is one option. For the time, I am not sure. I think JavaScript has oh, you can use the date time, the new date time object which comes in built in to track your time, and you wouldn't need logging as such. You can, what can you do? You can, yeah, create a function which has the inbuilt date time object and use that for your logging. Or I think there is something called as chalk, which you can use along, which will also give it kind of a nice fonts, nice, basically a good looking logging. That's yeah, that's what I can say. Good looking logging. It will color your different logs in different ways, so you can use chalk for, yeah, different outputs, different colored outputs. I would need to check if there is a particular logging library that exists, but this is what comes to my mind from top of my head. No worries. Okay, so now where were we? So we received this data. Now I am, after this print statement, I'm going to say, let's do the insert into file, like insert this data into file. And what does it need? It needs two things, right? It needs the file name and it needs the results. So for us, for the file name, we can call it as, let's say, results.json. That's the file name that it needs. And the data is nothing but this issues from GitHub. Now we can actually dump everything that we have here, which includes this total count, incomplete results, or we can only dump this data which is inside the items array. Okay, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, there is nothing else. So this is where the array ends. So right now let's dump everything in the JSON, in the results.json, but later on we can kind of decide what we want. And yeah, once that is done, yep, I think it should be good. So I will add some spacing here and there. This is to get issues from GitHub. Uh, and insert it to insert into a file. Okay. Yep, this part of code. Now let us run this again. I think more than enough time has elapsed between when I ran it previously and when I'm going to run it again. So I'm going to hit on that run, and okay, total execution time took less this time. Okay, so 0.635, and this is 0.013, and this is the total execution time. And we have successfully created a results.json, which you can see here: total count, incomplete results, items array, and everything inside it. So that kind of completes everything before the lunch break. So let's take a quick lunch break here. I hope you all have completed everything till now. Let me see. First, let me check if this link works in incognito. Okay, it is giving me Cloudflare error. Are you all able to open and check this main.py? Where did that link go? I remember putting it in chat. No? What's happening? Are you getting the Cloudflare error as well? Error 106. Yeah, I got the same. I don't know. I think it's some Cloudflare issue. Uh, Cloudflare is down, it seems, for now, at least for Replit. Interesting. Okay, at least for now, I'm going to leave this right here. We can come back in, let's say, 10 minutes, and then we can continue working on this. Okay, I am going to leave. Where should I leave it till? Link is working now. Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. That helps. But I'm still going to leave it till, like, let's say here. Okay, the main pieces of code, and that's it. Any questions, anyone, till now before we go on a break? It will be like a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back working again on this project. Any questions from anyone? Okay, I take the silence as golden. Thank you so much, and I will be back soon. Oh, quick question there. Why are we rewriting the file? Uh, Good question. The thing is, like, at least right now, we are rewriting to it because if I append the data, I would need to basically append only to the items array. I don't know how, like, at this point, let's say we all don't know how are we going to get the data for the next 30 items. Okay, so the next 30 items, we don't know what it is going to look like. So we are not sure whether we need to append it, we need to create a new file, or what should we do with it, which is why I went with the best bet, which is to write to a file. We are rewriting the whole file. But if the next set of data allows me to append it, I'm going, like, we can change that. Or the other option is we can create multiple files and then just do a combining of all those files. So we have multiple options there. It's just like, what would you prefer? What would you like? It's totally on you. uh yeah, it's like everyone's kind of different choices, uh in a way. But I hope you got a understanding of my reasoning there. So let me put a quick banner here. uh Perfect, thank you so much. uh yeah, back at 12:15 GMT. Okay, back at 12:15 GMT. Let me turn up the music so you have some nice time while you take a break, have some water, stretch, and let's be back later. Thank you. Hello. And I'm back. Let me just remove the sticker. Reduce the volume a bit. Yep, I think that should be good. So, I hope you all were able to get everything up and running till now. And hopefully no questions as such. I hope everything has been answered. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me at any point. Let's click on this formatting. Formatted successfully. Okay, that's nice. Just wanted to check if it is formatted some way. I don't see much difference, frankly, other than maybe one space here extra. But okay, let's go on. What's the next step? So now that we know that we are able to get the response from the GitHub URL, we have not changed anything yet. We are going to change it right now. Yep. So we have not changed anything to get more responses. Okay. So let's move on. So what are we going to have? We need more data coming here, right? Not just 30. And to be very frank, I had no clue how to get that. So I had to kind of go through the whole GitHub API pages and Stack Overflow. And I found a reference to something called as per underscore page. Okay. And you can set this like equals to 100. You can set it this way that per page we need 100 results. Like in the items array, we need 100 results instead of just 30. So I have not tried this as such. So let's try it and let's see how many results that we get from the items. So I'm going to kind of delete this right now just so that kind of we start fresh. So everything remains the same. The only additional thing is and per underscore page equals to 100. This is what I have added. Okay. I also need to see if this works. This will work this way, or will it work like the way others are working, like with a colon. So let's run this. Let me increase the size of this. What happened to the clear? Interesting. Clear history. Yep. And let's click on run. Yep. Length of result item equals to 100. Okay. So now we have 100 results inside this items. So that works. That is really nice. So now we are getting 100, but the max is 100. So if you go for like 200, 300, I don't think that works. Okay, at least GitHub API documentation said that the max you can set per page is 100. So we have, let's do some math here quickly. So we have 5170 results. We can get 100 results per page. So how many pages do we need to traverse? Should not be that difficult. Yep, 52. But we are not going to traverse 52, at least not right now. We are going to only go up to like, let's say 4 pages of data. Yeah, like page 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, yeah, let's only go for 4 pages because, hey, this is just a project. But when you create the whole app, you know what you have got to do. You have 5170 results. There are 100 results per page. You have to go for like 51.70 pages, which is like which is not correct in a way. We need an integer. So 52 pages of results is what you need to go through. So where do we add that page number? So this is the first change, not first, sorry, second change that we are right now going to do to our get issues from GitHub. The first change that we did was adding this line, this piece of code. Let me put that here. So and per page equals to 100. This is what we added to get 100 results on the page. And now let's also add the page number. So for the page number, it is and page equals to, like you can define it like 1, 2, 3, 4. But we can make it dynamic, right? We should make it dynamic. So we are going to say and page equals to page. Now, where is this page coming from? And page equals to page. Where is this page coming from? Who's giving that to us? So let's just say it would be provided kind of by the user. So page will come from here. But if a user does not provide anything, we can set it to a default to page number 1. Okay. So we're going to hit this API endpoint. We're going to say that per page result is going to be 100, which we are kind of making constant. And you have to go through multiple pages. So you have to go through page 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can increase that. We are only going to go till page 1, 2, and 3, let's say. And by default, if someone has not provided a page number, then the default page number is 1. That's what that means. So let's go to our main function and let's make a few changes there. So, well, the first change that we are going to make is make this more of a for loop, because we need to go over like page 1 and then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, whatever. So let's create a for loop right here. So for let's say page number in range. So I like this in range function. You can tell it that, hey, you have to go over this range of numbers one by one. So between like 1 to 4, you have to go through everything. 1 is included in this range, 4 is not. So it will go up till 4 minus 1, like it will go till 3. Okay, so this loop will go till 3 pages. So for loop, and you get that. Now this will move one step inside. So when you hit enter here, you see the indentation. This is in this line right now. So it moves one step inside. And now get issues from GitHub. It also takes in the page number that is coming from here, from this variable. So once that goes in, then we are going to print, again, this goes one step inside. Insert into file, again, that goes one step inside. Now there is one thing. It is going to rewrite results.json for every page that it goes through. So it goes to page 1, it creates results.json, adds data to it. Then it goes to page 2, and then it creates again results.json, same results.json, it overrides that. So we don't want overwriting, but what do we want? We want to either append the data, or the other option actually that I have is to create a new file. Okay, so we can create multiple files. I am not going to favor one way over the other. For now, let's just say that creating a new file would be quickest. That's what I'm going to go through. I'm also going to, let's say, focus on code. So yeah, results.json, and we need to create a new file for every page that it goes through. So how can we do that? Well, it's just a file name, right? So I'm going to say f-string results underscore whatever is the page number. So results underscore 1.json, results underscore 2.json, results underscore 3.json. That's what it is going to do. It will create multiple files. Once the files are there, what do we want? Remember my comment about we need to sleep in between multiple requests. We need to give it some break time. So let's give that break time here. So I'm going to use time dot sleep. How much? 3 pages. Let's say 5 seconds should be enough actually. So yeah, I think these are the changes that I've done. Number one, create multiple files. Do we need this print statement as such? I mean, it is now going to be constant of 100 for everything, but let's keep it right now. And yeah, that should be it. Again, I'm going to delete this results.json for now, and let's clear the console from here. Let's click on the run button and let it run. So receive 200 for URL. So 200 is success, and it got, now this is the new URL, and page equals to 1. So per page equals to 100 and page equals to 1. And then there's this, total execution time 19 seconds. So we know it went from like page 1 to 3, so that's like 5 seconds in between, that's 15 kind of. So okay, our time tracking works. That's the whole idea. So we have 3 results. So there's this 5170. Can we format it in any way? I don't know, but let's see what's the last result here. So it is talking about this EC cube issues 6051. Okay, EC cube issue 6051. Let's go here. It is talking about EC cube 6050. Okay, so that is different. Let's go to the bottom, and it is talking about this Kelvin's algorithms data issue 184. So issues 184 of Kelvin's algorithms and data structures. And let's go to the third one. Okay, Kelvin's algorithms and data structures 183. Okay, that was 184. This is 183. And now if I scroll all the way to the bottom, it's a different repo. Dune on 0 on game pulse issues 12. Okay, so we have different data. We know like we have like 300 issues right now, and we have 3 different files. So in a way, we have been successfully able to go to GitHub, get more data, and yeah, we have more results. Now let's do the refinement of these results. Now, when I do the refinement, I don't want to get issues from GitHub. So I'm going to comment this temporarily. Commenting that actually means commenting everything. So I'm going to comment this whole thing. So it is no longer going to go to GitHub to get the data because we already have the data. It's not going to get that data. It's not going to create new files or anything, which is good for us. So let's create a new function. Like, what's the next step? The next step is to basically strip out additional data and only get what we want. Okay, only get the data that we need, only get the data that that we want to work with. So let's create a new function. I'm going to create everything in this file for now, but we can of course break it into different files and yeah, make it more executionable in a way. So def process underscore JSON, like we are going to process the JSON file. It needs basically a JSON file. That's the first step. Now we are going to add code to open the file. So with open uh, JSON file, and this would be opened in a read mode as, let's say, a temporary variable as f, and we are going to store it in a variable called as data equals to json.load the file. Yep. Now it says that this is assigned but not used. Yeah, we are going to use it. Don't worry. Now, in this line of width, nice. I don't know if this line is exactly visible to you, but in the same line as width, okay, we're going to create a new variable call it result underscore data, which is going to be an empty array or empty list in Python. Now we're going to say like for item in data dot get. Now we are going to get items, only the items. We don't want anything above that, like anything additional that we were getting. Come on, scroll up. So we don't need this total count. We don't need this incomplete results. We only want the data inside this items list or items array. So that's what I'm going to tell it, that get this items, and it's an empty array for now. Temporarily get that into an empty array. And what are we going to take from that? So we first need the name of the repository. So what is the name of the repository? Let's talk about, let's go to the one that we have open. Now, looking at this first set of data, what is the name of the repository? Where can we get the name of this repository from? So very difficult to kind of gauge here because they have not exactly specified, hey, this is the name of the repository where the data is coming from. But we can use Python to kind of do some replacing some words and get it from there. So this repository URL, if I remove this api.github.com/, okay, and also this repos, if I remove this whole thing from repository URL, the pre-commit/pre-commit, so this is the name of the owner. This first pre-commit is name of the owner, and this is the name of the project. Pre-commit is a very bad name to go through for this, so let's go with something else. Repository URL. If we replace this thing, this api.github.com /repos with empty string, then whatever we are left with, that is red hat developer /vs code extensions extension tester. So this is our repo name. This thing here is the repository name, and this is the username or the name of the owner. So that's what we need to do. We will actually just replace this thing. Now you could do it for any of these things. You could do the replacing for any of these things, but this is the easiest. Why? Because let's say if I want to do it with HTML URL, I need to replace this github.com with empty string. Also need to replace this issues / anything after that with empty string. Then I'll get the name of the owner and the repo. So, you could basically choose anything. I feel repository URL is the easiest to basically do the find and replace. So we need to split this string based on /. If you split the string based on /, you will have one split here, two split here, third split here, fourth split here, fifth split here. then you need to take the last two things basically. Yeah, that is one way, but Python actually provides us something very interesting. uh, so item dot get, so item dot get this repository URL. So let me copy that repository URL. So get this particular key. So that's what the first thing that it says. String, empty string, and dot replace a part of it. Which part of it should it replace? It should replace this. Like every project will have exactly this api.github.com/repos/. So please replace that with again a empty string. So whatever is left is our repo name or repository name. The next one is issue URL. Okay, so issue URL, again item dot get. What will be our issue URL? So if you remember, HTML URL actually points us directly to a particular issue. So I'm going to say that take this HTML URL, get this HTML URL, and that is now going to be our issue URL. We'll kind of rename it. The next one is our good first issue label. So basically, I know that it is going to have that good first issue in as one of the labels. But what would be good if I directly go to this label? Okay, if I take this label, copy it, open it, okay, remove the api.github.com, let's say, and remove the repos part. Then this good first issue gives me link to all the issues that have this particular label, right? So kind of need that. It would be good to have that particular thing. But actually we can add it later. Okay, I have something in mind for that, so we can add it later. Let's just get the state for now, the easy ones, so that we can see it in motion, how it's working. So let's take the state. Let's take the locked thing. Actually don't need this. State open, we are sure. Locked, I'm not sure. Okay, let's keep it this way right now. Wait, it is not a string. State open is a string, locked false, it's a boolean. So we need to add it to be a boolean. And let's finally create our result entry dictionary, where we will say that repo underscore name will have the value of the variable repo name. The issue underscore URL key will have the value of issue underscore URL variable. What else did we create? We created a state. So our key called as state would basically have state as the value, and our issue called as locked will actually have locked as the value. And okay, and let me clear this. So there's result data and result entry. So this is individual results, and we need to append this to result data. Okay, so for every result that is found, append that result entry to result data list or result data array. Once everything is done, yep, right here we can just say return result underscore data. Okay, yeah, I think this should kind of work. Let me think more. Yeah, I think it should work. Yes, I feel it will work. What else? Now we need to go back to our main function, and we need to basically add code to process each results underscore, let's say, page underscore number dot JSON file, and store data in I'm going to store it right now in separate files. So if we have, let's say, results underscore one.json, after processing the data, I'm going to store it in new results underscore one.json. Similarly, like new results 2, 3, and we will combine it later. So that I can show you how, if you have like more data, how you can combine it. For, let's say, again, page number in range 1 to 4. Okay, we know that there will be those many results. So new results underscore JSON is basically going to call this process JSON function. And what does process JSON take? It just takes the name of the JSON file, because the JSON file has the result in it. So we know that our results underscore page underscore number dot JSON will actually get us every page. It can load every page based on this. Okay, so once that is done, then we have created a function called as insert into file, which takes in the file name and the results. So insert into file function, it will take the file name. What is going to be our new file name? I said that it could be called as new underscore results underscore page number dot JSON, and it needs the new results. So the new results are coming back from this process JSON and stored in this variable, which we are going to pass to the insert into file. And what else? I'll just do a time dot sleep here for 1 second, just so that we don't need to overload our this whole thing. Don't really need it, but just let's good to have it. What else? Oh, we have not actually tracked how much time does it take for this process to happen. So let's do that. So we do a start, not state, start underscore time equals to time dot time. That's our start time. And once the function ends, where does it end? It, like, just before the return, of course. We need to do it before the return, because after return nothing works. So here we can go like time underscore track, take the start time, and how much time did it take? Processed JSON file. that should get us the name of the JSON file, I think. Yep. And now let's basically run this and hope everything works. So process results this, insert into this, process 2, insert into 2, process 3, insert into 3, total execution time 3 seconds and some milliseconds. And let's see. There should be a formatter for this, I feel. They should add a formatter for our JSON. JSON formatter. Is there a quick and easy JSON formatter? Yeah, this looks good enough. Let me just copy this, go over to JSON formatter, paste it. Yeah, this is what we end up with. Okay. So the repo name, the issue URL, state, and logged. We need that label, good first issue, and also the link to that when we create our final version. But for now, this is what we have. Okay. So now before we go offline, I would say let's learn how we can improve our code to take the GitHub token. So the whole rate limiting, we can kind of improve it by adding our GitHub token to when we are getting the data, when we are getting the issues from GitHub, when we are getting data from the GitHub API, we can add our token there. So step 1, let's create a function first, which will just get the GitHub client token and add it to this wherever we are getting the data from, this request.get. In this method, it will add our GitHub token as well. It will add it as a header. So let's define a function. We can call it def get GitHub client takes a token. And the headers, let's create a headers object inside this. Now where am I getting all this from? It is from the GitHub documentation. So from GitHub documentation, I know not FairHub, GitHub authenticating. So here, actually somewhere else, I remember reading about it. Rate limits for the REST API, and yeah, I think this is where I got it from, somewhere here. So, except it needs to have these things. There's except application /vnd .github plus JSON, the authorization, and the GitHub version. So that's how we can get all the issues in a way. So that is what I am going to write here. So it accepts. So the accept is application. Also, I should share this with you all. Application /vnd.github plus JSON. So I'm going to copy that. Come back here, application. I don't know, did I copy? Yeah, I thought so. So application /vnd.github plus JSON. So that's what it would accept. Then it needs the authorization. So I'm going to go to the issues, going to copy this because I'm lazy. Going to come back here, paste it. So authorization. Now authorization is interesting. It needs something called as the bearer and your token. So where are we going to get this token from? I'll show it to you. But this can be a F string, and with this F string, inside this we'll say it has a bearer, bearer, and then the token. Now where is this token coming from? It's coming from this. And what else does it need? It needs the X, what was it? X dash GitHub dash API dash version. So this is the key that I'm going to put here, and the value for that is, the latest one is 2022-11-28. So let's put that here. Yep, so this completes our headers. So the headers has three things: accept, authorization, and the GitHub API version. And now we just need to return the headers. Simple. Now where are we going to use this header? We are going to use it in this one, get issues from GitHub one. Now inside this we need to call our headers. So right after the URL has been decided, or the URL has been created, we need to assign the headers. So I'm going to call a variable called as, let's say, headers, and that is nothing but going to get GitHub client. Get GitHub client headers. I think that's a better name. So get GitHub client headers. Now inside this, it needs a token. So we know that we are not directly calling this function in our main method. We are actually calling this get issues from GitHub function in our main method. So if we need to pass token to get GitHub client headers, the token must be provided here. The token comes here and it is passed over to get GitHub client headers function right here. So that will get the token. Now once we have the headers, now I'm going to add some spacing there. Now in the response, we were doing request.get, and it was taking the URL of where it needs to get the data from. Now it will also take the headers, and headers is nothing but this variable. We can call it, let's say, gh underscore headers. So our headers is nothing but this gh headers. Yeah. Now we need this token. We need to pass this token to GitHub. So where was it? It was here. So issues from GitHub equals to get issues from GitHub page number. And with this page number, we also need to pass the token. But for that, we first need to create the token. So where do you create the token from? If you go to your GitHub, okay, log into your GitHub, click on the photo, go to settings, then scroll down. Like, okay, I'm going to stop right here. So basically reach the developer settings option. Okay. You need to be logged in, and you can go directly to this link that I have pasted in the chat right now to go to your profile settings. Make sure that you're logged in again. Then click on the developer settings and this personal access tokens. Okay, PAT, personal access tokens. This is what we need. You click on that, and we will go for the classic one because the one before that is in beta. So we need the classic tokens classic. So click on that, and we need to generate a new token. And for generating a new token, you click on generate new token. Now it needs to have kind of a name. So there's a nice hint. What is this token for? So this is for GHW GitHub issues API. Yeah, I think this is enough to remind me what was this for. So it's for GHW GitHub issues API. Like reduce the expiration so that if your token gets leaked, at least it would expire in 7 days. We need to check a bunch of things here, but let's see, what all do we need? We need the user details, okay? Because interesting. Let me think. Do we need the user details? Not sure. But one thing that we definitely need is repo details, because that's what our API is returning. Let's also get the user details so that we get the same, like we get this kind of output. Okay, so we need the user details and we need the repo details. If you have checked these two things, repo, just check the first one, repo, and user. Yeah, I think that should be good enough. And now I am going to actually take this out, because it is going to, when as soon as I click on generate token, it will show you my token, and I don't want to leak that for sure. So I am going to bring myself and remove this. Okay, sorry, you need to see me for 1 second. But once you click on generate token, there was a big green generate token button. Click on that and it will tell you to copy your token, and it will also give you this big message that make sure to copy your personal access token now. You won't be able to see it again, which is very much necessary. So make sure that you copy your token, because once lost, you are not going to be able to see it again. Okay, once you have copied that token, store it somewhere safe. And now I am going to, what can I do? Okay, I have my this, and I'm going to go to my home page, and now I'm going to get the stream again. Okay, so I have my token. I have successfully copied my token. Now in Replit, okay, once we are back to Replit, go to this tools, okay, which is right there, and scroll down to something called as secrets. Okay, now secrets, you can store any sensitive information, example your GitHub token here. So you can click on new secret, and let's give it a key of GitHub _ token, and the value you can paste it directly there. I had copied it, so I am going to paste it there. So in this secrets, you can store, click on new secret, add the key and add the value, click on add secret. Then it will give you this nice code of how you can access the secret. So you do import OS. Okay, that's the first thing. And then instead of my secret, we'll call it, let's say gh _ token equals to OS. Like, let's copy this and paste it here. Okay, so this gh token now has my token, my GitHub token, and hopefully you have not seen it. Now I'm going to take this gh token and I'm going to scroll down, and this issues from GitHub, the one that I have commented right now. Let me uncomment that just so that you can see. So in the get issues from GitHub, I'm now going to pass the token and the page number. The order is very much necessary, or you would need to define that this is token equals to gh token and page equals to page number. But if you don't define that, then you have to do it in the order that it is supposed to be. So token first and page number second. So now you have passed the token, which will go to your, where was it? There's get issues from GitHub, which will take this token and go to GitHub client headers, which will go here. It will add that bearer token here. It will return the headers, and that headers come to this request.get, and the headers get assigned. So yeah, that's it. Yes, you can store it in environment variables. So someone was doing it in JavaScript. You just have to basically add it to .env file. Make sure that you do not push that file to GitHub, and you can use a package called as .env, .env in your Node.js / Express project, and you can import that token and use it. Okay. So I hope you all enjoyed this session. That's all from me right now. We will have, I'll be back basically in about 2 hours from now, continuing to the part 2 of this session. And I hope you all will join me then. Till then, just remember your questions, and you can ask all at the same time in my next session. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I hope you all enjoyed this till now, and we are going to do some more things here. Okay, so don't worry about it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay. Thanks all. See you for the part 2 of this session. Okay. Bye-bye.